Sorry about that. Yeah, let's come back, guys. There's angles over here. What's the camera behind me?
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for your presence today at this event. Founded to honor the legacy of Dr. Betty Shabazz and Malcolm X, the Shabazz Center is a generative, action-oriented, community organization committed to growing social movements that empower and prepare people for leadership in civil society. Thank you for your presence today. At this time, I would like to introduce someone that really needs no introduction. But he is America's trial lawyer and justice. He is Black America's Attorney General. He is none other than Attorney Benjamin Crump, who will lead us through today's process. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rachel, and thank you to Mr. Leo Peterson and Mr. Bannister for allowing Reggie Wood to be here today to make this really an announcement about a truth that has been secret for far too long. Before I do that, I would like to acknowledge I'm here with Attorney Ray Hamlin, as well as Attorney Paul Napoli, Attorney Craig Finster, and Attorney Shahar Zulai. And we have present with us Mr. Reggie Wood, the daughters of Malcolm X, Khadija Shabazz, Ilyasa Shabazz, and Jamila Lumumba Shabazz. So often we talk about Black Lives Matter in America today. No one can argue that Malcolm X is the personification of Black Lives Matter. We're here today to talk about restorative justice, because the past is prologue. The fact that Ray Wood, this New York undercover police officer who wrote this deathbed, dying declaration of his involvement at the behest of his supervisors, and explained that the New York Police Department, the FBI, conspired to discredit civil rights leaders, Black nationalist leaders, and even worse, to kill them when you consider the assassinations of Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, and Martin Luther King Jr. The past is prologue because just as they continue to enact an intellectual justification of discrimination to justify what happened to Malcolm, they also use the intellectual justification to discriminate today to justify what happened to Breonna Taylor, what happened to 12-year-old Tamir Rice killed in Cleveland, Ohio, to justify the killing of Orlando Castile, the killing of Terrence Crutcher, the killing of Alton Sterling, and so many other names that never received any form of justice after they were justifiably murdered. Also, the letter is very revealing and riveting because it talks not only about the conspiracy that they engaged in to kill Malcolm X. It talks about the conspiracy to wrongfully convict the family of 21 and Tupac Shakur's mother, Amy Shakur, which led to her being incarcerated while she was awaiting trial, that she miraculously represented herself and was found not guilty. However, her prince, Tupac Shakur, because of Braidwood, the NYPD and the FBI wrongfully and falsely accusing him, her prince, Tupac Shakur, was going into the prison cell. So this is about restorative justice to try to have those black leaders, those civil rights activists who were wrongfully convicted over 50 years ago, to have them exonerated, to have the record set straight, that they were not criminals, but what they were freedom fighters. And for that, the United States government conspired to discredit them and take away their liberty. So even though this is going to be astonishing revelation from the past, I remind you, the past is prologue. Malcolm X is Black Lives Matter. Malcolm X is Black Lives Matter. At this time, you hear from a great lawyer, Omega Psi Phi member, a good man, standing for justice with the sisters of Malcolm X lineage, Attorney Ray Hamlin from New Jersey.
Good afternoon. As I stand before you thinking back, 56 years ago tomorrow, take a moment to think about being here today and how tragic events of that day tore through the fabric of this community, tore through the fabric of this nation, certainly tore through the fabric of this family. And the fact that we're here decades later, with information from an undercover New York City police officer that I understand will recount or has recounted in chilling detail of his involvement, the involvement, as I understand it, New York City Police and perhaps the FBI. The fact of the matter is, the world lost an icon. This nation lost an icon. The family lost a father, a husband. And as important as it is to the world, it pales in comparison to the importance for his family, for his daughters, 3 of whom are here. So what we're trying to do, Brother Crump talked about restorative justice, is, as lawyers, to try to pursue relentlessly this justice. On behalf of the legacy of Malcolm X, Dr. Reggie, on behalf of his family, his lineage, who is here, and who deserves it more than any of us. And that's what we're trying to do today. So, if any of the daughters, so we look forward to this information that's going to be released.
Thank you, Attorney Hamlin. At this time, because this information is riveting, this is riveting information 56 years past due, being revealed to the world. in doing so, Reggie Wood, getting this information from his uncle who was battling stomach cancer, sought to try to make sure that there was credible, corroborating evidence. And so he turned to his goddaughter, who is a graduate student, to help research issue by issue by issue to dot every I and cross every T. So at this time, I will give you Lisette Salama.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. My name is Lisette Salado. I was approached by Reggie Wood in order to put Raymond A. Wood's confession and these was accumulated into a written narrative. Throughout the writing and research that was done in order to corroborate Raymond's confession, we found multiple sources that support Wood's eyewitness accounts. Many of these sources from that time period confirm Rick was undercover police work while employed by the Nypd, as well as they discussed Wood's involvement in the Statue of Liberty bomb plot and the security repercussions that resulted from the detainment of Khalil and Walter Bowe. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence is a letter applauding Wood's undercover work in the Statue of Liberty bomb plot while working for the NYPD, written by U.S. Attorney General Michael J. Murphy on February 17, 1965. Regarding Nazi actions conducted by the unit during the 1960s and 70s, their legal surveillance and derogatory investigation have been well known and documented exclusively, including a direct statement given by the Congress and Rescue Detective Tony Basso. Regarding the Statue of Liberty bomb plot and with the manipulation of the people involved, Wood's confession is supported by the testimonies of Walter Bowe and Khalil Saeed. Both of them took the stand during trial and testified that the bombing idea was originated on railroad. Regarding Khalil Saeed's role in Malcolm security, Muhammad Ahmad, founder of the Revolutionary Action Movement and peer to Malcolm X, wrote, Khalil Saeed, a Muslim friend who had been sent to Malcolm's organization to develop a security wing, was arrested on the Statue of Liberty bomb plot. Inside the Muslim mosque at OAE, Khalil's arrest upset Malcolm's internal security. It also set forth the public kindness that the intelligence forces wanted for years. An FBI document released in 2011, papers of James Campbell reveal a meeting note from March 6, 1965, written by activist Yuri Kochiyama. The note states, Ray Wood is said to have been seen also running out of the auto, was one of two picked up by police. He was the second person running out. The explanations of these facts not only support Ray Wood's confession, but they establish the circumstances that surround the Statue of Liberty bomb plot that led to the detainment of Khalil Saeed, subsequently preventing them from providing Malcolm X's security that could have prevented ongoing from entering the Audubon Volume on that fateful day, February 21st, 1965. Thank you.
Thank you, Lizette. As you heard, NYPD and the FBI orchestrated this meticulously, going to get the two people who Malcolm X depended on mostly for security, Brother Saeed and Brother Walter Bowe. They worked on for weeks to coerce them into this scheme to blow up the Statue of Liberty. Talking about black people don't have liberty, so we need to send a message to blow up the Statue of Liberty. And Saeed and Bowe came from SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, had no violence in their past. And they said it was this guy who coerced us, who kept talking about this is what we got to do to send a message. And so he coerced them to do this plot, of which they were arrested by the FBI, and he was applauded as a hero. In fact, They have the letter evidence in this from the Attorney General of the United States in 1965. Just as they orchestrated the Panther 21 from the Black Liberation Army into saying they were trying to destroy New York's monuments that led Faney to being arrested. Just as they orchestrated discrediting and arresting many of the leaders of the Congress on Racial Equality here in New York City. They were meticulous in discrediting not just the movement, but the leaders of the movement. Who more personified the Black liberation movement in America in 1965 than civil rights icon Malcolm X? And so Ray Wood knew at this place in 1965 when he was sitting there, he figured it out that they were trying to do what they could to stop another Black Messiah from uniting African Americans like Jacob Hoover did back in the 1920s with Marcus Garvey. And so this was orchestrated. And the only way we get to justice, Attorney Hammond, restorative justice or otherwise, is with the truth. And so Reggie Wood will come and share the truth as Ray Wood confession on his deathbed. This man who had been used as a pawn like so many other Black people, Julio, for this conspiracy to discredit anything that talked about civil rights for African Americans. I know this is heavy on his heart, and he contemplated how to do this for many, many days, the day of the problem. And so finally he gets to relieve his burden and not worry about it being suppressed or squashed, because he's doing it very publicly. Mr. Reggie Wood.
Good afternoon. I prepared a statement to give on behalf of Ray Wood and my family. Hopefully this helps you to understand more clearly where Ray was coming from, and also understand what I've been dealing with for the last 10 years after finding out this information. My name is Reginald Wood, Jr. I am the cousin of Raymond A. Wood, who was a Black undercover New York City police officer in the 1960s. I met Ray for the first time in late 2010. He had been estranged from our family for over 46 years. Ray was aging and experiencing many health problems and had a desire to reconnect with the family before he died. I volunteered to move Ray to Tampa, Florida, so that my family and I could look after him. In 2011, Ray learned that he had stomach cancer and wasn't sure how much longer he had to live. Shortly after, he confessed to me a series of detailed accounts of what he participated in and during his time as a police officer. At that time, Ray told me not to let him take this to his grave, but to please wait until he passed away to come forward with this information. By 2012, his cancer had gone into remission, and he lived until November 24, 2020. For 10 years, I have carried this confession secretly in fear of what could happen to my family and myself if the government found out what I knew. He lived in constant fear for over 46 years, worried about what the NYPD and the FBI would do to him and his family if he had told the dark secrets that he had held that helped destroy Black leaders and Black power organizations. After Ray's passing, I found a confession letter that Ray had written and mailed to my father back in 2011. This letter details the FBI, and the NYPD's involvement in the assassination of Malcolm X, and how he was forced to betray his people. This letter helps me to understand the pain and guilt that Ray felt for the last 55 years. He conspired to help the NYPD assassinate Malcolm X. The false arrests and wrongful convictions of several leaders of CORE and the wrongful arrest of Black Panther members, including Tupac Shakur's mother, Afeni Shakur, which led to her giving birth to Tupac in prison. Unsure how to release this information and keep my family safe, I reached out to attorney Ben Crump, who advised me to place everything that I knew, along with this letter, into a factual memoir and publish it. By making this information available to the world, everyone will know at the same time, and I will no longer have anything to hide, nor can the government quiet me. On behalf of Ray, he wanted the world to know that he is deeply sorry. I hope that this information helps the Shabazz family to more clearly understand what happened to their father on that horrible day. As a Black man, I am disgusted to know that what happened 60 years ago is still going on today. We are living under J. Edgar Hoover's Jim Crow system of policing our Black and brown people. He is the architect of these constant injustices and tactics against our people. As I stand before you today, I urge everyone who has a voice to speak up and stand up against corruption and systemic racism and policing from the top down. I believe that the United States of America is the greatest country on this planet. And with education, compassion, and the grace of God, we can fix these problems that we are facing. We are the example to the rest of the world. Let's get it together, people. God bless America. I am now going to give a copy of this letter to the Shabazz family. I intend to give a copy of this letter to Khalil Saeed's family, Walter Bowe's family, Thomas Johnson's family, Herb Collins's family, and a Phoenix Coors family. These are the families of individuals that I am aware of who have been falsely convicted due to race actions. I know that there are others that were part of the Panther 21 tribe. For 10 years, I've lived with this burden of this secret. I am relieved that I am able to share this truth with the world today. Before I give this letter to the daughters here, I will read the dying declaration letter of Raywood. This is the original letter that was sent to my father on February 9th of 2011. I'm going to read a copy. I preserved it for the district attorney and whoever needs this for the court case to be able to exonerate the people that Ray was concerned that had been convicted because of his actions. It's dated January 25th, 2011. I, Raymond A. Wood, being of sound mind and body, wish to confess the following. I was a Black New York City undercover police officer from April 1964 through May of 1971. I participated in actions that in hindsight were deplorable and detrimental to the advancement of my own Black people. My actions on behalf of the New York City Police Department, BOSSI, were done under duress and fear that if I did not follow the orders of my handlers, I could face detrimental consequences. Presently, I am aging with failing health. Recently, I have learned of the death of Mr. Thomas Johnson and are deeply concerned that with my death, his family will not be able to exonerate him after being wrongfully convicted in the killing of Malcolm X. The facts are as follows. April 17, 1964, I was hired by the New York City Police Department. Without training, I was immediately assigned to the BOSSI Investigation Unit. After witnessing repeated brutality at the hands of my coworkers, in parentheses, police, I tried to resign. Instead, I was threatened with arrest by pinning marijuana and alcohol trafficking charges on me if I did not follow through with the assignments. Under the direction of my handlers, I was told to encourage leaders and members of the civil rights groups to commit felonious acts. The Statue of Liberty bombing idea was created by my supervisor / handler. Using surveillance, the agency learned that Bo and Saeed were key players in Malcolm X's crowd control security detail. It was my assignment to draw the two men into a felonious federal crime so that they could be arrested by the FBI and kept away from managing Malcolm X's Autobahn ballroom door security on February 21st, 1965. On February 16th, 1965, the Statue of Liberty plot was carried out and the two men were arrested just days before the assassination of Malcolm. At that time, I was not aware that Malcolm X was the target. On February 21st, 1965, I was ordered to be at the Autobahn ballroom. where I was identified by witnesses while leaving the scene. Thomas Johnson was later arrested and wrongfully convicted to protect my cover and the secrets of the FBI and the NYPD. I have placed my full confession into the care of my cousin, Reginald Wood, Jr. I have requested this information be held until after I have passed away. It is my hope that this information is received with the understanding that I have carried these secrets with a heavy heart and remorsefully regret my participation in this matter. Raymond A. Wood.
At this time, we would ask the sisters to come and give you all the letters.
This is the letter, the copy of the letter, and also the detailed account as Ray explained to me.
There has always been uncertainty about all of the facts surrounding the assassination of mine and my 5 sisters' father. Any evidence that provides greater insight into the truth behind that terrible tragedy should be thoroughly investigated. My mother turned this place, which once represented tragedy, into the Shabbat Center. It is a place of inspiration and learning, and discovering the truth is always most important to us. Thank you.
At this time, we will take some questions. This letter will be hopefully a piece of evidence to exonerate all of those who Ray Wood wrongfully implicated in felonious acts, what was deprived them of their liberty. So we are trying to take some of your questions. This will take some of them.
Raise your hand below. Raise your hand.
Yes, Mr. Paul, my name is John Ferrari. I'm a reporter for the Crump Reggie. And this is the way this is coming out. I want to know, would it be in the district here from any point on behind the deeds to bring further attention to the common intelligence program that surprisingly most Americans are still unaware of? Sir, it will be up to the family. The families who are mostly affected to continue to have an urgent search for truth and accountability. Oftentimes, we have matters of great injustices like the assassination of Malcolm X, the United States Congress has taken on its accord to have a commission, like the Martin Luther King Commission, the John F. Kennedy Commission, the Robert F. Kennedy Commission. So it is certainly not out the realm of possibility that the Congressional Black Caucus consider having a Malcolm X Commission as part of restorative justice, and also to exonerate those who were wrongfully convicted by Ray Wood, the New York Police Department, and the FBI. We can never forget or downplay the government's participation in the conspiracy to kill Malcolm X.
Hi, this is Campbell. I'm in Harlem. What are the legal implications for the Shabbat?
So, what we hope and what we expect is that there will be, what we hope and we expect is that there will be some effort, certainly we will take an effort, make an effort to try and ensure that the Shabazz family receives justice. If in fact, as it's written in the letter, this heinous act was with the help and support of law enforcement and our government, and certainly I think the Shabazz family is deserving of some sort of retribution by way of compensation to place them in a place that would certainly address the wrong. There's nothing else that can be done to bring back their father. But certainly there's a lot that can be done to assist the family and right the wrong. And that's what we're here to try to do. That's what we're
Have you received any communication from the New York Police Department, or do you expect them to reach out to them?
Well, we expect that the Manhattan District Attorney, as well as the United States Congress, especially the Congressional Black Caucus members and the New York delegation, who I know cares about justice very much, are going to find this very riveting. And the question is, will they act to finally give restorative justice, not just to the Shabazz family, but all those who were affected by NYPD and the FBI orchestrating, using black people as pawns to achieve a racist result. Yes, ma'am.
You can verify those who say the black community crime. But if you identify the names of those who are Mr. Williams' so-called handlers, people on the NYPD, specific agents with the FBI, and police officers undercover otherwise.
Yes, I think Lizette and Reggie researched very thoroughly the revolutionary action movement RAM, as well as the Congress on Racial Equality papers, but most importantly, Bossy, who everybody knows for years terrorized civil rights leaders. It was the Bureau of Special Services Investigations at the New York Police Department. So we know that they have been complicit in all of these matters. So we don't have the names of his handlers, but we know he was working for Bossy. The fact that the Attorney General of the United States of America in 1965 recognized his efforts as an undercover police officer, and the fact that they did send him to special training with the FBI because he was so successful at discrediting and destroying black leaders in the civil rights movement.
And just to follow up, the individuals who you say wrongfully convicted, are they doing so alive and are they still in prison?
Well, apparently, some of them are still alive. Thank God they have been released from prison. Mr. Gold is still alive. part of the Statue of Liberty plot. Mr. Saeed, unfortunately, has died. But members of Panther 21 are still living. And Michelle, to the greatest that we can do, to the greatest benefit we believe for the families of those loved ones who were killed or discredited. You can try to get them to the truth, to finally exonerate all the Panther 21, all the leaders of the Congress on racial equality here in New York, all the people who wrongfully convicted for killing Malcolm X. They can finally get exoneration, and hopefully this death, bed, dying declaration will help that end. We clearly intend to have the Manhattan District Attorney and any other authority, whether that be the United States Congress, be able to evaluate this matter and use it as crucial evidence in exonerating these black people who have been wrongfully convicted by their government. Yeah.
How you doing, sir? My name is Eric X. I'm with National Network View. My question for you today is, were these newly released FBI Consul Pro documents made available to the Senate Select Committee at the time of their investigation in April 1976 report?
And I think Mr. Wood said clearly that these were just made available on 2011. Also was bound with stomach cancer, and then he died 2.5 months ago. He recently died, and that's why we're here at this moment now, because Reggie Wood said that he wouldn't let these secrets go into the grave with Ray Williams. Is that correct, Mr. Wood?
That's correct. When he asked me to not let him take it to his grave, I didn't think that he was going to live another 10 years. So as soon as he passed away, I started working on the memoir to place all of the information in one document so that it would explain everything that you're asking. All of your questions are answered in there, and we hope that the district attorney will be able to take this information and do what needs to be done along with the lawyers.
Thank you.
Any other questions? We thank you for your time. Continue to pray for these families, and there will be more when we talk to congressional black partners and the Manhattan District Attorney.
It's available now on Amazon.
We have a doctor.
part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps to combat false media. Cash App NNV News.
This is Sister Sajida Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajida House commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. As we renovate and restore the former home of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, we have recycled the old copper gutters and downspouts and created a 1 ounce 39 millimeter coin made of 100% pure copper. Each coin is professionally graded and has its own barcode and registration number. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at sajdahouse.com.
Worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button, or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
Thank you for tuning in to NNV News. Please share your thoughts with us in the comments section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, National Network View. This is Clifton Muhammad with NNVnews.com.